swift humanitarian action that took place yesterday, India seems to have come to China's rescue. Indian Navy has deployed its air MR assets in the southern Iowa.
Which had 9 people on the crew, and these people were not only Chinese but they were from Indonesia also. And the Indian Navy's PHI aircraft was also deployed in this 900 nautical miles away from India for the search and rescue operations. And this happened on 17th of May, and all the equipment that was there of the Navy was swung into action to help this ship, and also along with the PLA aircraft that were also closely coordinating with Indian Navy in this particular operation.
Right, and it is pretty significant, also symbolic of how India operates, because China really has not been an all-weather friend for India, and despite that, when it comes to a situation of crisis, we are always willing to help. Shivani?
Certainly, we know that how is the relationship between India and China, and how we are dealing with the situation on line of actual control. We are trying to pursue China not to intrude into Indian borders, but despite all that, India has now shown that how it stands up for the neighbor, no matter if it is China too. And we've seen that how, and in the sea distance of 900 nautical miles, the PHIs of the Indian Navy, they flew to help this particular sinking ship, which had 39 people on board. And this is a perfect example of how India has been saying that we must respect our neighbors, no matter if China flexes its muscle not only on ground, on land, but also in the sea. At times, we've seen how the Chinese ships have been intruding Indian waters. They try to come close to the territories which are prohibited, not only on land but also inside water. And despite all those things, we see that how Indian Navy has now come up to help for the cause of humanitarian aid.
Right, Maroof Raza is also joining us on the broadcast. Sir, what do you make of India coming to the rescue of a Chinese vessel?
See, India has a long history and a long record of being supportive of countries, people, and even elements in distress. And in relief operations, we have always been second to none. Let me give you a couple of big examples. One was the tsunami which hit southern India many years ago, where we provided without second thoughts relief and support to countries and their citizens, even though we did not enjoy the best of diplomatic relations with them. Then you had the case of Nepal and the earthquakes there, and also the earthquakes that took place north of Jammu Kashmir and in parts of Pakistan-occupied Kashmir. We have always offered to help. Now, whether somebody takes the help or not, that's their call. The third thing is that when there was a crisis in Yemen, India provided relief to many citizens. I believe there were about 28 countries' citizens who were caught up in the fighting in Yemen. And the currently minister and then also a minister of state, General V.K. Singh, was in charge of the operations, and we helped people in distress and helped them out. Even in the Ukraine crisis, where students and others are caught up in the fighting, India had sent out ministerial teams and we had helped out people. So nobody can question India's integrity and India's legitimacy of its intentions. Now, whether countries wish to take the help, whether they want their citizens to die because they are unable to respond to a situation, that's the call of party, not for India. Our job is to extend help, especially when military vessels are operating nearby, whether it's Indian Navy ships or the C-17 Globemasters that are airlifting people out of that.
Right. Sir, I'll have to interrupt you there because we are getting breaking developments that there is an official briefing taking place on Prime Minister Narendra Modi's